Hi friends, welcome to another video. This time I wanted to record some of my sketching process, and it changes all the time, which anyone who's been in my streams when I streamed probably knows already. Um, the requirements of a sketch for me will change piece to piece in a situation like this where it was two characters, they were the subject. There's not a whole lot else going on around them. I do want to focus a little bit cleaner, just because it will make the details that I want to focus on later easier in a sense, or more efficient, I should say. Um, so as you can see, just starting in with blocking of the figures, stuff like that, and just beginning to lay out some details. This video is very sped up. This was probably about 2-ish hours of sketching, to maybe 2.5. And I was very lucky. So, this was for a commission. I was very lucky to have a client who provided precisely what they wanted. She did that little mock up that you can see on the left hand side of my screen, where she took, you know, two photos, added, the rose and the crown, added a hand where she kind of wanted it to be, and did a lot of the work for me in terms of setting out the scene, which in a commission sense is super, super helpful. So anyone who does take commissions, the more specific a client can be, the better for everyone involved. Yeah, my sketching process is definitely it's a vulnerable thing to share, and I think a lot of artists feel that way, and that's sort of why I wanted to do this. Um, because it's so easy to want to show the more polished portions. Um, and obviously, a piece is never going to be really polished until the end. But something about starting with that blank canvas, starting with laying down your foundation, just feels like very, very scary and vulnerable. And, you can see all of the, you know, mistakes that a piece might start with. And it's just a lot. It's a lot to share. But I did want to do this for you guys, my patrons, and just show a little bit about what my sketching process has been lately. So as you can see, I started with a very messy sketch, just using a hard round brush. With pen pressure turned on, so I am getting a little bit of variation. It's not just like a super crunchy brush. And then once I have sort of my forms and general shapes, I go in on a layer above, lower the opacity of that under sketch, and then just sort of start to clean stuff up. And I do have been lately. Again, this is more of a recent development in my process. Lately, attempting to be a lot cleaner in specific in what I am trying to eventually paint, because I am finding that the more specificity I can attribute to a sketch, the more efficient the rendering process will be, because I have that foundation, I have that awareness. And for a while, I wasn't really focusing as much on detail. I was, leaning more painterly, not zooming in a ton. And now my style is leaning a little bit away from that, still maintaining some of the, more painterly vibe, but I am trying to have that cleanness as well. So doing my sketches this way has been a huge help. And as you can see, it's a lot of erasing, it's a lot of going back and forth, it's a lot of liquefy and flipping and just trying to trial and error and, get the piece to where I generally want it to be. I do hope that eventually it won't be as much trial and error and like shoving things around, but also like it's not a bad thing to have to shift your sketches around. And, you know, I do traditional as well, and I can't do that in traditional. I don't have that capability, obviously, on a piece of paper to liquefy things and to, you know, select and transform and shift things ever so slightly. And with digital, I do have that. And so it's a tool that I'm able to use to, you know, attempt to get the most perfect version of what I'm trying to put out. And that's okay. You know, I would like to be able to streamline a little bit more in my process as a whole, but you know, that's the journey that we're on, because I'm learning and we're all learning, and art is constantly learning. Anyone who feels like they've stopped learning or don't need to learn anymore, I'm sorry. Like, that's a sad place to be. I love the learning aspect. I love constantly trying new things, trying to push myself. Anyway, that's that little ramble. This is a rambly video. I am sorry, but I'm not at the same time. So I'm hoping you're enjoying yourselves. As you can see, just sort of smooshing around some facial features, some hair. I will forever draw noses too long. I know this when I go into a piece, the nose will always start too long and will possibly end up too long. It's just one of those things. I feel like every artist has that thing that every time, without fail, consistently, they're like, well, this is just what's happening. Artists, leave in the comments what your long nose is in your own journey. If that makes any sense at all. It probably doesn't. I haven't really had my coffee yet. It's sitting here. I can't sip it because I'm recording a video. And God forbid I pause and take a sip. Anyway, so I did end up with this piece, changing the composition in terms of the layout of the canvas. You know, I started out with this. I always try to work in like an 8x10 resolution, that like 4x5. I don't know. I just gravitate towards that. It's a good printing size. It's a good jumping off size. It's good for Instagram cropping. So that's sort of like what I always start with. And so I started with, you know, the more landscape perspective of it, like that long ways. As I worked on this piece, I had a million iterations of the layout of the canvas. I tried making it like tall, and then they just felt dwarfed. There was something about having her elbow out like that, and then his arm slightly extended with that rose, made cropping it very difficult, because it ended up being, I felt like they were dwarfed, or there was too much canvas, or they were like touching the end of the canvas like too closely. I think in the end, I think what I ended up doing was extending them up further and drawing a little bit more of their body in the final, which, you know, the client paid for half body, but for my peace of mind, I needed to do just a bit further. Otherwise, I was going to feel very irked with the piece, and that's no fun. You know, I want to always put work out there that I am as proud of as I can be, which, you know, that's always going to change. The way we look at a piece over time, I feel, is often going to change. As you can see, I was struggling a bit with trying to figure out where I wanted his arm to be. Like, I wanted some sort of interaction further between the characters. I didn't want his arm to just be like disappeared, limp, you know, hidden behind her. So it was a lot of, you know, trying things out, shifting around. I am quite happy with how this piece came out. One of the things that I've been struggling with and need to continue to work on is when I paint something and close up, I like it, but once I zoom out and look at the canvas, you know, the bigger picture, I guess, sometimes it bothers me. And so I'm still trying to find out that balance of like softening details, having details so that it reads, you know, when I do have a closer crop, and then from further away in, you know, the actuality of the piece that people are going to be seeing. I don't think I achieved a good read on his face. I love his face when I'm cropped in. I struggled a little bit with once I'm zoomed out. Not in a bad, like, I don't think it's bad. I just think that nitpicking my own work, which I will constantly be doing, that's something that I can improve upon and hope to continue to improve upon going forward, because again, art is a journey. We're all on this journey. Thank you guys for being on this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed this kind of different video of me rambling for 10 minutes straight, and sharing my sketching process and morning thoughts. Thank you guys so much. Bye.